All right. Well, welcome to the first workshop ever for Synergy Labs. And I have such an amazing company here. I would like to introduce you the collective Island. And here, welcome to the first workshop run by Will Guest and Magic Makawiak, co-founders of the Island Collectives. Will Guest has worked in the field of AR for around 8 years, and with VR for the last 5 years has built wearable technology prototypes for use with the systems. Aside from the software development, Will also brings expertise in technology, acceptance, modeling, and datable and practice physics and gathering. And Will, could you just wave to us that we know who you are? Nice.
Hi.
Thank you. Well, I guess it is on the left hand for me. It's Magic Makawiak, has 7 years of experience with the VR industry and prototyping optical system, as well as designing virtual environments for hardware validation. He has a particular interest in connecting Web3 technologies with head-mounted displays. And Magic also has solid foundation in the process of engineering and maintaining healthy curiosity for chemistry and California. Well, this is quite a bit of bio, guys. Where did you have time to accomplish all of this? You look like you're 18 years old and you're just ready to work in the pioneers of Web3 industry too. I'm happy that you made it today, and I'm looking forward for your workshop. And floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
What a flattering introduction. What can I say about that? Yeah, I mean, it's a pleasure to be here. I really appreciate you having us on. It's really exciting to be on the first one as well. Like we're visiting the birth of something new. We feel kind of the same way about our project, you know, we're just, although we've been working on this for a little while, we really feel like now we're at the point where we're ready to share this and give it away, basically.
Nice.
So without further ado, let me just, we've got a couple of slides to show. We're also going to start with the demo because we think it's much better to show the kind of things we're talking about rather than talk about them. So first of all, if I could, maybe you can let me share the screen and I can share the presentation.
Okay, let me figure out that part. Okay. Is it okay? You can send me the link.
I'm not able to just yet.
Okay, here you go. You're supposed to share.
Perfect. Yeah, great. So here, let's do this in a big size. So today we're going to be presenting the framework that the Island Collective is built with. It's called ICVR, which stands for Internet Computer Virtual Reality. It brings together two important components. One is the Internet Computer, which is a network of blockchains, essentially. And the other is virtual reality. We believe in creating an immersive web. And this presentation today, we're going to go through really three main questions. One is, what is ICVR? How does it work? We'll look at some of the main components, and then we'll go on and talk about some of the use cases and some of the ways that we see this could be used. Small spoiler, there's a lot of different use cases. So if we jump in, the first thing we're going to get to is the demo. So that's Magic's cue. He's going to jump into VR. I'm going to share with you my view from a flat screen. So this works on PC and in VR. Here you can see, here I am on the island. This is the starting point, and there's Magic. So the starting point is a tropical island. We began with the idea of the Island Collective. We wanted to give people a pleasant sense of immersion in this new forum. And here, if we look around, this is a relatively small space. It's a small island. You can walk around it in 10, 15 minutes. I've been on islands myself that small in Indonesia. So it's essentially modeled on one of those. The first thing you'll notice, besides Magic wearing VR and dancing around, is the network beacon. This is where we've connected. This is a peer-to-peer network. That means that all of the data from my browser is traveling directly to the browser in the VR headset. And there you can see Magic is disconnecting and reconnecting. So if we carry on a little bit further, you can see there is a signpost to some of the other spaces that are connected to this one. And we're going to explore the island, and I think we'll just go to one of the other ones for now. We can let people explore them later. So we'll be sharing links to the island and the other places so people can explore the other two by themselves. So the next thing I guess we can talk about here is, so as well as sharing the avatar positions and the kind of the movement around the space via a peer-to-peer network, we're also sharing some of the objects. So Magic's got the basketball, and in here there is a basketball court. You can go and have some fun in there. So again, it's just worth mentioning that there's no servers in the middle here. There's a little bit of third-party stuff done to do the handshake between the two people. But after that, everything's running entirely without a server. You can tell, obviously, that Magic has been practicing. It's not easy. We've got a few signs up in here in the basketball court, just to kind of give a nod to some of the people who've helped us with their different components. We also, not just do we want to share the technology with people, we also want to share the experience of building it. So if other people want to go and do something similar and use this and build on it in the spirit of the open source community, we want to share how we arrived at this result as well. And of course, we should give a nod to Dfinity as well. The project has been funded with Dfinity grants, and it's been a great experience working with them. So if we head out of the court, we can see this is floating stone is really the heart of the island. This is possibly going to become a kind of polling station, some kind of a place to gather around it and cast your votes on things. That's what we imagine at the moment. The physics on the objects that you can see is also fairly realistic. So we're able to tune the physics that we use. So things like bounciness and momentum and how fast you can throw things depending on how dense they are, all of this is quite tunable. We come into the tent, we've got a little party area here, so you can come and have a little dance with your friends. So one of the things we wanted to illustrate here is that you can bring media into this space. You can stream media into it, and you can make the whole place feel more alive with the soundscape. Magic's going to be DJ at the moment. That's great. Okay, Magic. What do you think? Should we move on to the bowling alley?
Bowling, yeah.
That sounds good. Okay, so we're going to head out of the tent and we're going to go down under the water. We're going to find one of the portals that's in the space. There's 3 of these portals you can find, and one of them, I won't give away where the rest are. You can find them. And this is the portal into the bowling alley, a place that we call Island Bowling. So now you can see where we're moving from one space to another. We're loading a new page. So this is really, everything is happening inside a web page here, which does put some limits on what you can do. You have to make sure it's not too complicated. This is why we didn't put all of the different scenes into one. We didn't group them all together, but we have different pages for different places. And so you can see the loading time is still pretty quick. So here, my browser is still set to Spanish, which is why you can see the Spanish language. This is a multilingual space. So I've created a room there, and then Magic will be able to find that room, and then he'll be able to join me in the bowling alley. So we can take a little look around. On this side, you can see there's the portal. This takes you back to the island. We've got a few bits of nice artwork on the wall. We like to engage with the AI as much as possible to give us beautiful things to look at. And then you have 3 lanes. This is a bowling alley. It's a full physics simulator. So all of the interactions and the dynamics around the bowling, they're all pretty realistic. So at the moment, lane 1 is open. I can load up the pins and the balls here using the little control panel in front of the lane. I guess Magic's going to be joining me in a moment. And then you can chuck these down and the system will score it for you. We coded in all of the proper bowling scores. So you've got 4 different balls. The balls are different weights. They have different frictions on the lane. So, you know, if you prefer bowling with a heavier ball or a lighter one, you can change your style depending on how you're feeling. The green one is a 10-pound ball. Ah, that wasn't good. Magic's much better at this than I am.
Well, my experience is still loading, so maybe we can carry on.
Okay. Sure. So Magic's page is still loading there. I think his internet connection is suffering a little bit today. But so what you can see here is on the other lanes, these are blocked out at the moment. And what it's asking you is to put in a coin and to press a button, and then you get the balls. So when Magic arrives, then he'll grab a couple of coins from the side and put them in. Another thing that I can mention while I'm here is there's a little media station over here. We want to put on a record. And so I've put in one of my favorite albums into this media player. Anyone who builds one of these spaces can do the same thing. They can put their own music in there. So one of the things I wanted to mention in this is that, so we created these different spaces. Ah, there he is, he's arrived. We've created a few of these different spaces and we created these as examples of things that you can do with this framework. This is not the end product. This is just an example. We are able to make all sorts of different things with this framework. And we want to inspire people. So we decided to make some fun experiences. But the possibilities are see, he has a strike, the first go. Amazing.
Time and
He tells me that he's better in real life. Ah, another one. That's remarkable. Okay, you've got to go for a third one now. No, quit while you're ahead. Very wise, very wise. Okay, so I think what we can stop there. I think there's a lot more we can explore, but we're going to leave that up to some people to look at themselves.
Before
so
we move to next section, I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
I recently was on NFT. my friends from Malaysia is watching that. I recently was on an NFT festival, and there was a point where people were confusing. There was a panel of discussions where people were discussing about metaverse and VR. Some people have no understanding about the difference. Could you please, if you can, identify what is metaverse and what is VR? Besides that, we have VR set, that is the main point of VR. But if we're using a desktop navigating VR as the same version, is it considered as a metaverse? Or is it, could you kind of clarify?
It's a very difficult question to answer. I think there's not a single accepted definition of metaverse. I think, you know, some of around the technology, there's been the same discussion about, you know, what is virtual reality, what is augmented reality, mixed reality is another term that people use. So these are relatively clear. So I think virtual reality, you know, it's that immersive experience. You move around, you feel yourself in that. For a metaverse, for us, it's an immersive experience. This is how we think about it. I wouldn't put that down as being the definition that everyone can use, but this is how we think about it. We think about it with 3 degrees of freedom, or rather, like 3 dimensions and 6 degrees of freedom. So you can turn, look around, and then you can walk sideways, and you can feel yourself in that space. And we think that's really important. I think the difference comes more in terms of the experience. If you look at something that's 3D, that's great. But if you're looking at it on a flat screen, you don't have the same type of experience as you do when you're in VR. Mm-hmm. And people who started to use VR, they start to appreciate that more and more, I think. You know, when you can reach out and grab hold of something, it connects it in a very visceral and interesting way. But if you're just clicking it on something on a screen, you don't have quite the same experience.
Thank you.
Yeah, so basically...
Oh, I think...
Oh no, we lost your sound, Magic. No, Magic...
Something happened.
The microphone seems to be off.
Okay. No, I just want to say that metaverse in VR, it's like a next generation of the metaverse, because you are surrounded by content instead of just clicking on the content in the flat screen. Just a simple explanation. Yeah,
that's the easier way of saying it. I use too many words. Okay, so let's crack on. I want to share now a few of these features. I'll quickly go through some of the key features in the ICVR framework. The reason I want to talk about these is that we are now in the process of open sourcing this. We're ready to give it away, but we know that open sourcing something like this is not as simple as just making a repository public. If you really want to have a community using this kind of technology, using this framework, we need to help people along the way. We want to help people to build things. We want to not just say, oh, there it is, now you can go. We're going to build tutorials, documentation, lots of other materials that people can use to help them go faster and build more interesting things. So in the spirit of that, I will first start off with just one slide on the kind of the technical layers here. So on the very outer layer, we have an internet computer canister that is still being built. All of the main components are there, but there's still a lot of work, and there's a lot of people working on this. The important thing about this early on at this stage is that it allows people to self-host their experiences. That's really important, because that means that when you put your code for your VR experience, for your metaverse online, you're not relying on any other technology company. You are self-hosting that code, and that gives you full control of it. So inside that, the next layer is a React app. This is a fairly common kind of framework to use in Web 2 builds. And what that's doing here is that's managing a lot of the secure transactions. So that's the kind of crypto transactions. That's where you're going to be trading the NFTs and a lot of the security that comes with the internet computer. That's where it's handled. It's the interface between the React application and the internet computer canister. The next layer down is Unity, and this is a Unity WebGL build. So it's the online platform. There are many platforms you can build Unity to. This is WebGL, and it's huge. There's so many different things you can do with this. It's been around for so many years that there are lots and lots of features that you can get your hands on and really build interesting interactive spaces. And then inside Unity, we have the WebXR component. That's a bit more technical, but the one thing I would say about that is that the WebXR exporter and the other features we used are all open source. So we wanted to always stick to this principle of open source because we always had the vision of open sourcing it ourselves. And we want to make sure that we're not tied to other people who keep things closed. So it's open source all the way through. So now I'm just going to go over a few of the important features that we've built out over the last 18 months or 2 years, and which are modules inside the VR, the ICVR framework that people can use, and everything here is free, of course. So the first is physics. Unity already has a physics engine. It's pretty developed. It's very fast. It's very performant. And it has some limitations. So we decided to extend that, add more throwing and catching, and try and use more of the systems inside Unity to give you a more immersive experience. So since I have a background in physics, this was really, really fun for me. I really enjoyed figuring out how to do all of the calculations around momentum and torque and kinetic energy and stuff like that. So a couple of examples, things like basketball. In another one of our scenes, there's a pool table. You can go and play pool, and you take a shot, you hit the white ball, everything scatters on the table. That's all happening according to physics. So it's all pretty realistic, and we've thought about the sizes and the density of the pool balls, you know, and all of this as we go along. The next thing, as you've seen, is it's a multiplayer space, and we thought it was really important to make this peer-to-peer. As soon as you start relying on central servers to do this communication, you're putting trust in a third party. And that's something obviously inside the crypto space that we try and avoid wherever possible. So we've implemented, I think it's the first example that I've seen of really low latency peer-to-peer communication of avatars inside a web page. The other thing I'll mention about this is that all of that peer-to-peer communication is built inside Unity. It's not so you don't build your Unity scene and then add it on later. It's all wrapped up inside the Unity scene. So that makes it as fast as possible. And then when you put that onto your canister and it's self-hosted, then it can't be tampered with by anybody else, because the security that comes with the blockchain is helping you to keep that safe. So the code can't be changed. The third important feature that I think really adds an immersive quality to this is sound. You've got to have a nice soundscape. When you go into a VR space and it's dead silent, you really notice it. It feels artificial because, of course, the world around us is full of noises. So we wanted to kind of create soundscapes with media players, with jukeboxes, with background sounds like the waves and the wind and some birds tweeting. This is all very important. It really adds a sense of immersion. Unity has by default spatialized audio, which is great. So if you're talking to somebody and their avatar is speaking and you turn around, then the sound will come from behind you. And that adds a new layer of immersion that we think is really important. I kind of briefly mentioned the media player. So when you play a track, you reach out to the cloud, or in this case the canister, and you pull that song and play it from there. So you don't have to load all of the sound and all of the music. when you load the scene. So that keeps your load time really short, or as short as possible. And then it gives you a lot more flexibility on the kind of audio that you can bring in later. So that's all from me. I'm going to pass over to Magic now, and he's going to talk about some of the use cases. And yeah, take it away.
Thanks, Will. Yeah, thanks, Will. So Will has just show us how the ICVR framework works and the main components and functionality. And now, in the next few slides, I'm going to give you some examples on what you can build using the ICVR framework. Next, please. So, for example, you can build a training application. VR, it's really great for skill learning because of its immersive nature. You have a feeling of presence, and you can complete the task on the place, and this way you can learn really quick. You can get feedback straight away, and also VR provides a very safe environment where making mistakes is absolutely fine. You can make mistake, you can go a step back, you can perform the task again, make it correctly, and learn something without hurting yourself. So I think that's very important. So on this slide, I have three certain examples of the experience. The first one is a first aid. So you can train someone how to help people in accidents. You can create maybe an experience where you will teach people how to perform a manual handling in a warehouse. So how to move heavy objects from one place to another. Or you can create an experience where the person is learning how to be a fire warden. So it's basically learning how to react in case there is a fire in a building, how to evacuate people, how to take the fire down and stuff like that. So these are just some examples of training experience can be built with the ICVR framework. Additionally, if you add some wallet integration and some sort of, because we are doing this on a blockchain, you can reward a user with some sort of NFT certificate that, yes, this user completed this VR experience, and here's the NFT, for example. Next slide, please. Another great example is the manual assembly instructions. And using ICVR framework, you can create, for example, manual assembly instruction on how to put the IKEA table together, for example. Or you can do something even more complex, and you can teach people how to put components together on a manufacturing line to create a final product. Next one, please. Another great example is the process simulation and robotics. You can use our framework to create an experience where a user will learn how to use, for example, a robotic arm using a control panel, like on the picture in the middle. Or you can create an experience where a user will learn how to perform certain tasks in the industrial environment to fix things, or, yeah. Next one, please. Next slide. Another good example is another good industrial example. It's maintenance. And you can, for example, using our framework, you can create experience where a person will learn how to perform the maintenance operation on an aeroplane engine. You can teach the person how to replace certain components in an engine, how to change oil, how to disconnect cables, how to connect them back together, etc. Yeah, that's next slide, please. Another great use case could be in recruitment. And I believe that VR can really help companies to hire fast and more efficient. And to use for recruitment, you can, for example, use our framework to build some kind of VR experience where a candidate who is applying for a job will be put in a certain situation and will have to complete a certain tasks. And then based on the results from those tasks, the recruitment agent can assess if the candidate has required skills for the job, for example. So that was the last use case I want to show. But I want to say that actually, if you move your imagination, you can come up with so many use cases. Basically, the use case, it's pretty infinitive if you think about it. You can do all sorts of things, not only for the industry, manufacturing, but also for entertainment purposes, for social purposes. You can just create your own room and just invite place and just invite people, have a little party. So only your imagination is the limit in that case. The next one, please. And on the last slide, I would like to call everyone who is looking at this video that if you would like to build your own VR experience, we are looking for the beta testers. So you can please contact us. Here are some links where you can get in touch with us. There is a Discord server where we will be asking all your questions. You can go there. You can meet there other people who will be also building ICVR experience. You can maybe collaborate with someone and you can together create the project. Also, you can follow us on Twitter. We will be putting some updates there. And also, you can sign up for a workshop that we will be organizing in end of July. There will be 2 slots. So this is like a first kind of series of workshop when we kind of show people how they can use the framework and build their own experiences. Yeah, that's it from me. Thank you.
Yeah, I would just add one other thing to reiterate a little bit what Magic said there, is that we focused here a bit on industry use cases. We think there's lots of ways you can go in that direction. I think that's a really nice angle, but people shouldn't feel limited by that. There's so many different things you can do. And this is partly why we want to give this away, is that we know that there's a million different things that this can be used for. So if you have a great idea and you want to see it happen in VR on the internet computer, yeah, get in touch and sign up for a workshop. We're ready to start sharing this with everyone.
Is your workshop going to be a recorded live session or no?
We can record it. I think we're going to do a kind of hands-on session. So I think the most value is going to come from people interacting with us and each other to kind of go through the workflow. But we're also preparing other materials. So if people want to do this at their own pace, in their own time, then we're going to be producing tutorials and documents for people to do that as well.
That will be very helpful. Well, thank you very much. We say in Thailand here, Kapanka, and I appreciate for your time today and your workshop. And I'm looking forward for more workshops from you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We would love to interact with some students from Asia and help them how to build things and make the internet computer everywhere.
Yeah, that's a goal.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we can make it work.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the day, and we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.